Run.
Hey guys, we're back, and this time we're talking Fear Street 1978.
Yeah, we are. And this one's taking us to Camp Crystal Lake, a.k.a. Camp Nightwing. Is this movie better than the first one? We really hope so. So stick around, because we're about to find out.
All right, Billy, so this is kind of like the second episode to the previous movie out of 3. And I got to tell you, wasn't a big fan of the first one.
The first one was horrible.
So hopefully this one's better.
I think I gave the first one like a 5 or... No, I gave it a 4. I gave it a 4 and you gave it a 3. No, I think I gave it a 4 and you gave it a 3 or something.
I think you gave it a 3.
Either way, that first one was horrible. It was garbage.
This guy's like, oh, you should watch this. And I was like, what have I got myself into?
Yeah, well, that's because I felt if I had to power through it and feel like garbage, and I had to make you do it too, man, just so we could review it. But yeah, it was definitely hard getting through that movie.
But luckily, this one is better.
Or is it?
No, it's better.
It was better.
Because if this one wasn't any good, I don't think I'd be sticking around for the next one.
No way. Yeah, so this one was definitely better than the first one.
So who's in this movie?
All right, man. So I don't think anybody cares about this cast of people because I still don't know any of their names. They're all a bunch of nobodies as far as I'm concerned. Well, we do have the girl from Stranger Things, the redhead from Stranger Things. So she's making an appearance in this movie. But other than that, it's still your list of no-name characters. I don't think I've ever seen anything else, and I really don't care about it. So have you noticed them in anything?
Nope.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
I do. I will say though that I appreciated this cast much more than the first movie.
Yeah, no, that's true. Well, and I think it's because of the setting of this movie too, right? I think this movie had a much better setting to it.
Yes.
And especially for a slasher film, right? This is your classic. Like I said, I made the joke in the beginning, Crystal Lake, but this is definitely your Crystal Lake kind of feel.
There's just something that works with a slasher film in a campground setting.
Oh, yeah.
Jason showed us that, so going to use that formula.
Exactly.
And it's much better than that urban kind of setting that was of the first one.
Yeah, no doubt, way better. So, as we stated, it starts out where the last one left off, which is kind of good because I was kind of curious, like, what are they going to do if like the next one's going to be in the past? How are they going to introduce that? But they introduced it well. So the two brother and sister, I don't remember what their names were. Do you?
No, I don't recall specifically.
I remember the girlfriend Sam's name though. I do remember. So, so it left off with the brother and sister with the tied up girlfriend Sam. And of course, at the end of the first one, the lady who made Ziggy, who made it out alive out of the out of 1978 massacre, ends up calling them back. So they go to her house and bring the zombified witch. What is she? That's what I'm looking for here, man.
I don't know.
She's possessed, the witch-possessed girlfriend, and drop her out of this lady's house. She's in the middle of
like having like one of your famous dinners, like mac and cheese and Jim Beam, I think.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. That's my all-time favorite. So she sent herself a good old dinner,
and she's got all these weird clocks that she's setting to.
Yeah, she's got like all her clocks set up,
which is kind of odd.
And they haven't even told us what that's about. Like,
yeah, I mean, she has one that says something about locks or something.
Yeah,
so
like
she's locking everything, and she forgets to lock the window and.
Yeah, and that's how
I
they
don't
get in the
understand
house.
That because if these things are coming for you, ain't no lock
right,
windows.
Yeah, because they're like axing through doors and freaking busting,
like heavy duty doors too, not like a normal door.
I mean, you want to keep these kind of things out. As everybody saw in the first one. I mean, these are dead. They're like ghosts, but that are strong and have actual bodies and they can break through stuff.
Yeah, they're gonna show up and be like, it's locked. I'll get her next time.
You won't catch her next time. One of these days, she's gonna leave that window unlocked. I know it.
So that was a little weird.
Yeah, or even like the time to feed the dog and everything else. It's like, what the heck's up with this chick?
I didn't really understand like what all that was about. But I mean, her whole house is kind of like littered with clocks and these little notes that tell her what to do during certain times.
Right. Yeah. So so they get to her house and again, she's a weirdo, and so they're like, well, how are you alive so long? And she's like, well, let me tell you my story. And then it does the flashback to 1978 to Camp Batwing.
Camp Nightwing. Oh, yeah. It's not a Batman camp, unfortunately.
right. But, and of course, even back in 78, you still had the Shadyville, Sunny Side, or Sunnyville, Shady Side, whichever way it works. rivalry.
Shady Side and Sunnyvale.
Shady Side and Sunnyvale rivalry, right? So they're at camp together. You got the blue shirts and the red shirts, right? The red shirts are Sunnyvale.
Well, it starts off some girl running. She immediately gets clothesline, WWE style.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
I was like, wow, what is going on here?
Yeah. It was the sister, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, she's evidently Ziggy's getting picked on, by everybody at camp because she's a shady sider who's just got a bad attitude. And Ziggy's the redhead girl from...
They're like ready to string her up and everything.
Yeah, yeah, they do, man. Yeah, so like she's running through the woods from a bunch of kids are picking on her, and this one dude just watches them clotheslines her, and then they grab her, and then there's like this really mean girl, one of the rich mean girls who grabs her, and they string her up from a tree, the same tree that Sarah Fear was stringed up on, apparently.
Yeah,
and
one thing that kind of stood out to me is as they're doing all this, she elbows some chick in the face.
Yeah, it was cool.
And this chick just kind of takes it. Like, she's got a little bit bloody nose, but normally when you get elbowed in the face, your eyes become very watery. And I mean, she just like nothing. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
This girl must be used to getting hit constantly. Or
right. So you got that scene in the beginning. So Ziggy's getting picked on all the time. Her older sister, even though she's from Shady Side as well, she's kind of a goody two shoes who wants to fit in with the Sunnyvalers. So she, dresses preppy like a Sunnyvaler and tries to act like Sunnyvalers and act all preppy. So of course her younger sister doesn't like that because she's like, you need to act who you are. We're Shady Siders. We're cursed. We're never going to be anybody in this world. So why are you acting so fake? And so the two sisters are always headbutting. And, it just causes kind of a little drama in the camp there between those two. And of course the whole Sunnyvale hates Ziggy. And yeah, so it's, it starts out with just this big rivalry right off the bat between these two. And then, but then of course there's the one guy, right? The one guy, so this is like a 16 Candles kind of thing or any kind of other movie, right? You got the guy from Uptown with a girl that's not so uptown and, and he's into her, right? So this one rich guy from Sunnyvale is into Ziggy from Shadytown.
What I liked about this is this explores some characters or relatives of characters from the first one in the past, which is kind of cool. You see how some people became who they were in the first movie, which I liked. I liked the setup quite a bit, and you don't really see that in movies like this.
So this one has the sheriff, and so the sheriff and the mayor in the first movie are brothers. So they're both camp counselors at this camp here in the second one. So yeah, it does introduce those guys and kind of shows that, but I think they're the only two adults that were in the first one that are in this one now. Yeah, probably because most
besides
of them
the girl who's telling the story.
Yeah, probably because most of them got killed off in this one. Like that's one thing about this movie, man. They did not skimp on the killings in this one, man.
Their first one kind of waits to the end, but this one all throughout there's killing and stuff, and it's pretty brutal. It's brutal.
Yeah, it's awesome.
There's this camp is full of a bunch of kids, and they're getting mowed down.
Oh yeah, so yeah, and if you remember from watching the first one. The axe killer with the hood on. This is the guy at this camp, right? So and of course he was one of the original campers, and he was actually the boyfriend of the Goody Two Shoes sister. But he goes nuts and starts hacking away at the whole camp. And I mean, it's funny because he's walking in, people are like, "Tommy, what are you doing?" He's just
if you said that, you were probably getting
You're dead, right?
I mean. The first one, there were three kind of villains running around, and I thought this dude was by far like the most vicious because he like runs at you with that axe. And you're like, holy cow!
Oh yeah. And if you lose your footing or you just take one second too long, you're dead.
I mean, he pretty much is the Jason kind of character here. He's aggressive, so
yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, he's awesome. They did a great job with the killer in this character. They made him very Jason-ish for sure. And
that's what I liked about this one too is he's all throughout and you don't know who's going to make it, who's not. Where the other one, not much happened until the end, but this one gets into it, and it kept me more entertained.
Yeah, and the only thing that saved the last one, that saved it not being like the worst horror movie on the planet, was at the end that a couple, they had a cool death scene, and a couple of the main characters died, right? Because you thought, all these kids are going to make it out alive. It's just going to suck. I mean, the movie did suck. But at least a couple of main characters got killed in it. So.
And they do some jump scares and stuff like that. Yeah. It's your typical play high music with the guy walking across the screen. I mean, I don't even know why they do that because it's not even that effective, I don't think, in these. But
you do get a little more of the supernatural aspect of this one, right? They kind of find out where the witch's lair is at. So they find the witch's lair, and then in the lair there's this ginormous blob heart, right? And I guess that's that's like the witch's heart, and you find out that's where she creates her little, like all the people that she possessed and that died in the past, she can like recreate them through this heart, and they come out as like blobs and then form into themselves and run off and kill people.
And what's kind of interesting, the first movie's dealing with the body of what's her, Seraphir, and then this movie's dealing with her hand, and then you learn near the end of this one you got to like merge the two to break the curse. I suppose. Allegedly.
Yeah, because according to the poem, you know, she chopped off her hand so she would forever have the hold of this town. And in order to fix that, you got to put her hand back with her body, right? So the lady who survived the first one is talking to these kids, you know, and telling her the story, and kind of find out she found the hand. Well, somebody in that, you know, in 78 found the hand and gave it to her. And but they never found the body, so they couldn't fix it. Well, the kids, of course, know where the body's at. So now they've got the hand and the body, and now they're like, okay, great. You know, now we know where both of them are at. We got to merge these two things together, right? So, you know, and they do, and then it kind of flashes back to 1666, which is where the next one's going to take place, and which is where the original whole scenario happened, where Seraphir, I guess, was burned at the stake or whatever they did to her, and you know, hunger or whatever, they cut off her head. Who knows how they killed her? But anyway, this next one picks up. You know, this one ends picking up there, where the main character is having a flashback to 66 or 1666. As if she's one of the main characters alive now.
And what's weird is a lot of people from the first two movies are in this, even like people who didn't make it, which is kind of odd.
Yeah. So in the flashback, you see the whole little village there of the people. Yeah, are all the people from the first two movies, right? So
I mean, it's mixed with people who didn't die and people who did die. So I thought that was a little odd.
Yeah, and obviously what that is, I'm sure it's just supposed to be all their ancestors, right? So it's all their ancestors. They're just saying, okay,
seems a little cheesy,
you know, these are well, it's very cheesy
because they look exactly like the people.
But it saved the money on paying more cast members.
I guess.
So just saved the money. I had to hire new cast members. You know what I'm saying?
I hated the first one, but this one I thought was interesting, and especially the story, I guess, going across these three movies, where this one benefited from
actually
the story to the first movie.
Exactly.
So I'm interested to see where they take it next, and hopefully it continues on with that trend and it builds upon that. But I don't know. I think this whole franchise rests upon how good this next one's going to be.
Oh, no, it definitely does. I mean, I guess on the positive note, the last one sucked. This one didn't suck. This one was actually okay. So hopefully the third one might actually be good, you know? So, you know, and again, one part of number one, this thing was much better because it was your typical, much better, you know,
this
slasher.
This felt like your stereotypical slasher,
Jason, you know, Friday the 13th kind of movie, you know, or Halloween or whatever.
It might even have a more sophisticated story than those.
So. Oh, it does, because it throws an actual supernatural aspect in there, right? So the witches
supernatural in the characters who you see their backstory and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I even liked on this one seeing the Axe guy's backstory. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, no, that was cool. Yeah, and you know, and it's cool to get a little bit of all the main characters' backstories and kind of where they're from, what kind of, you know, how they grew up, what their environment was, you know, and why they are, you know, the kids that they are. But yeah, so now this one definitely much better than the first one. Thankfully, you know, so now I'm pretty confident going into the second one. Whereas, you know, if this one would have been crap, you guys probably wouldn't be getting a review of the
You know what's kind of weird about this movie is there's some scenes where they cut away from the violence as people are getting murdered, and then other times they show the whole thing, and it's pretty brutal. It's weird that they cut away from some things happen to kids, and then near the end, this guy's just wailing over and over, almost like Negan from Walking Dead on the same person.
Well, and that, you know, and that brings up a good point. I think that's why, because the older kids, when he's hammering on the older kids, it's showing him. It's showing brains being bashed and everything.
Pretty much the young kids it cuts away. But if they're like a teenager, then they're going to show.
It's just fair game. And that first dude, man, his brain just got bashed in by the axe. He was like, oh, man. But yeah, the little kids today,
and this is kind of also weird where I thought this was designed for young teenagers, but they're sex, cursing, drugs, so I don't really think so.
No, this was definitely more adultish, you know, than the first movie was, for sure.
Which is weird because there's still two young kids, if you ask me, involved for adults. So I don't know. I think the audience is kind of weird. I imagine like young teenagers will still find a way to see it, and they're probably the ones to enjoy it.
They're going to, exactly. Yeah, no doubt about it. But you know, and even though there was a sex scene, there was really no nudity, right? I mean, you couldn't see there was no show. Like it showed the boy's butt, but the girl was wearing a shirt.
They showed the girl as well.
No, she was wearing a shirt. I don't know. So yeah, the girl in it was wearing a shirt. But so there's really not, you know, if there is any nudity, it's very.
I could have swear the second sex scene showed the girl.
Yeah, maybe
the hippie girl, not the.
Oh, I did brief. Yeah, you're right. I did briefly. Yeah, you did. It did. Okay, so yeah, there's brief nudity in it. But it's not horrible. So you see a dude's butt, and then you see one chick's breasts for a very brief, short period of time. But, you know, whatever.
I mean, there are I think 2 sex scenes in it. So
yeah, but but overall, definitely better than the first one. It was like I said, I'm glad I watched this one, and because the story did pile on better. They gave you a much more understanding of the story, what's going on, and kind of how it's gotten to where it's at now, and how the first one got to where it was at, I should say. Whereas the first one, it was just like, man, it was just horrible.
All right, so what do you rate it? I think you rate the first one.
I give it a 4, and I think you gave it a 3.
I think you were arguing between a 3 and a 4, and I was arguing between a 4.
I'll probably give this one a 6. I think. I mean, it wasn't great, but it definitely wasn't horrible like the first one, and this did had the more original slasher flick feel to it, and there was a lot of deaths in this one. So and there was no shortage of gruesome gruesomeness or anything like that. So it was definitely a lot better. I think they're on the right path, and I'm hoping I can give the next one at least a 7 or an 8. I don't know. We'll see.
I'm going to give this one a 6 as well, and don't let that deter you because this really isn't my genre of movie. I think if you're really into slasher films, you'd probably rate it higher than what I would give it. I don't know about him.
I don't know, because I like horror movies a lot, and like I said, I'm giving this one a 6, period.
To me, this is like in the same ballpark almost as Jason. It doesn't have the lore or anything like that, but to me, it's pretty comparable. And I'm interested in see where they take it with the next one. So it's got my attention, especially after this one, which was better. Yeah.
All right, guys. That's our review of Fear Street, Part 2, 1978. If you like our channel, hit like and subscribe, and we'll check you in the next review.
See you guys. We're talking some Fear Street.
I look beautiful, as always. I look gorgeous.
All right.
What lady say on here?
All right.
What do y'all know about that? Huh? That's right. Better fix that.
Okay, well, when I do say it right this next time, and you're like, me, what would I say?
Yeah, and then I'll redo mine again.
Ready?
Let's do it.